right. So, it's barbecue season here. Let's get into these markets a little bit. What's going on with cattle these days?
Well, they just keep grinding higher. It's just amazing. We're all kind of chewing our fingernails as they go higher and higher, wondering how long this thing can keep doing this, because they've pretty much gone straight up, and it's unnerving, but it's good at the same time. We're seeing prices we've never dreamed of, never imagined, and we're starting to see a lot of people do forward sales now. A lot of volumes increasing on that. People trying to lock in these good values.
Not that I want to say crazy not to, because of course the market has been going higher, but when the numbers work, when the margins look good, right? It's crazy not to. So,
well,
all right.
The margins are good for people selling. Like if you're a producer, the margins are phenomenal. I kind of feel sorry for the feedlots. They've had a very good turn. I shouldn't feel too sorry. They've had a very good turn this last one because the market rose so quickly. But the forward-looking profits and forward-looking margins for feeding cattle right now is not very good, and they're paying a lot of money for these cattle. So it's going to be interesting what the next 6 months looks like.
So could that be looked at as a leading indicator at all for something to come here on the price side, on the market side of this, or is that just kind of ebbs and flows throughout the year?
It can sort of ebb and flow for sure, but I think it is a leading indicator. It does indicate one thing though, that the market is still short of cattle. So these feedlots are really panicking about what they're, whether they're going to be able to fill pens this fall. So in my opinion, they're kind of overpaying just to make sure that they get the cattle. They know they're going to be probably underwater on these cattle, but it's a kind of a big sort of a knife fight to get the cattle for the fall, make sure that they get their volumes. But, back to your question, when I look at the futures market, it's already pricing in lower prices going out to October of next year. So I almost feel like the futures market has already called the top, but we'll have to see.
When it comes to the futures markets here, are they, I guess, when is there a little bit of liquidity to get something traded? Like, I know if I look at like the canola market, for example, I could start to, NOV of 26, we could start to do a little bit of trading a couple of weeks ago here. So that's, 14, 15, 16 months out. How about on the cattle side? Like how far, if you saw a price that you liked, how far out could you go?
Oh, you can go out a full year. I mean, the volume gets a little light that far.
Yeah.
I would say most of the volume's within 6 months, but because that's usually kind of a feeding term, but yeah, but you're technically you can go out a full year.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So last time we had you on the show here, we talked about insurance a little bit back then. It's a peace of mind. But we also talked about things like, I think screwworm was one of them. We talked about tariffs, which again, I don't know if we've refreshed the screen yet today to see what's going on tariff wise, but talked about low inventory. Where are we at on some of those topics?
Yeah, well, I think the Mexican screwworm one is interesting. That normally the U.S. imports about 1.2 million cattle from Mexico, and it's mostly into Texas and Arizona, like the southern states down there. Now this year, I think they've only, I think it's less than 500,000. It's like 400,000 or something they've brought in. Their best case scenario, if they kind of get this border open, is probably about 700,000. So it's definitely going to be behind the regular year. So what it's done is it's created shortages in Texas and Arizona and places like that normally take those cattle. Now they're talking about staged reopening, reentry. So they're going to start opening one border entry at a time and slowly letting cattle come back in and monitoring it. So, that's good for getting those replacement cattle down there refilled. But it's definitely causing some of the price lift that we have now in terms of the shortage of placement numbers.
Okay. So still on that screwworm topic, there was questions around treatment and stuff like that. Like, did they come up with a plan? I guess if they're slowly opening the border up, they have. But so there was talk of some. I don't know exactly what the plan was here for treating screwworm, but has that come to fruition?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that side of it. I would definitely. I think they can just dip the cattle, and I think they can get rid of it. I don't know if it's as drastic or serious as they're really making it out to be, but they've chosen to sort of hang their hat on it. So,
yeah.
But I think it's just a matter of dipping, or it's like any other sort of parasite that they can either dip it or ivermectin it off. I'm not sure, but you'd have to talk to a vet on that one.
All right. Well, some topics for future episodes here. All right. Okay. What about tariff stuff then? What's going on from a tariff perspective?
Well, as long as we're under the USMCA, we're kind of safe right now.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? It's just like everybody in Canada. It's like the wind changes every day with Trump, and you never know where you stand. But so far, so good. What is coming down the pipeline is that we have a country of origin labeling regulation coming in January, where the U.S. is going to start voluntarily allowing their marketers and plants and such down there to put country of origin labeling on. So right now, normally if a Canadian cattle go to the U.S., they just kind of get thrown in the mix, and it's called, product of USA type thing. And
okay,
this new country of origin labeling now is going to separately identify Canadian cattle, where they're going to have to now be segregated if they want to label it as product of USA. And so it could actually create some concerns or discounts on Canadian cattle if they have to sort them off and keep them separate and all that type of thing. This is something that's been kind of going back and forth ongoing for years. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's going to be that much of an issue, but it's one of those things that they can use as a trade dispute, because we're going into our free trade negotiations here in this year too with the US. And I'm sure that's going to be on there. Supply management is always on the line. And our government just passed a law saying that they're going to protect supply management at all costs. And of course, the rest of us are not very happy with that ruling, because we don't want to hang our hat on the entire trade deal to be hung on supply management, which is only 9,000 or 10,000 dairy producers. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and that's the USMCA that's getting renegotiated, right? Or up for negotiation again. So we're safe under there for the time being, but again, up for some negotiation here in the near future.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also talked about low inventory of cattle. You mentioned that off the top here as well. Anything else on that? We've been talking about it on the show for the last, I don't know, year and a bit or so, maybe even the whole time that you've been here. But I guess is there any change coming to the low inventory?
Well, that's a good question, because it sure feels like it doesn't feel like we're going to rebuild this herd anytime soon. I just don't see the heifer holdbacks, and I don't see the young producers stepping up and building and doing all that. I think there is some herd rebuilding going on right now as we speak, but I don't think it's large. And I'm doing some presentations now for people, and it's one of the things I talk about is in 20 years ago, we had 5.5 million cows, and now we got 3.5 million cows. So we're really far down in terms of our cow herd numbers. But when you factor in the fact that we've got carcass weights have increased 16%, and you got beef on dairy, which is basically dairy cattle that we're converting into beef cattle now, you add all those, and then you add all the production efficiencies that we've added in the last 20 years in terms of all the feedlot technology and such, and we're producing more beef than we've ever produced. So I kind of warn people not to get deceived by focusing too much on cow numbers, because we can produce a lot more beef out of a smaller and smaller number of cows. So I don't think the herd's going to rebuild back to where it was 20 years ago. We're probably going to rebuild a little bit, but when I look at the average age of the producer being 60 and not much change on that front, I don't think this thing's going to rebuild anytime soon. Beef is going to be expensive for a while, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, what about on the on like the retirement side? Like as these farmers are getting older, are you seeing any I don't know if you call it herd dispersal or any ranches going for sale? Is there anyone that's putting their hand up saying, "Hey, this is a great time. These margins are great, but could be a good time to exit as well"? Do you see much action on that side?
I think there's always a little bit. And the best way to sort of gauge that, in my opinion, oftentimes is just looking at how thick the Ritchie Brothers catalog is, or some of these catalogs where they're doing farm auctions.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably your best gauge of how much that's actually going on. On the cattle side, yeah, there's some herds being liquidated here and there. I wouldn't say in mass volume yet, though. I think some of these old codgers are hanging on for one more cycle to try and get as many dollars out of this thing as they can. And beyond that, I don't know what the plans are. I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of next generation stepping in, but hopefully they do, because we need them.
Yeah, we definitely do. Otherwise, it's just going to get a little more expensive. So yeah. So I, you go back to that comment as well. Some of the old timers, like my father-in-law, his favorite song. I've been listening to a lot of Corb Lund lately, but cows around. Like you always have to have cows around, and yeah, his numbers may not be what they were back, way back 10 years ago, because he is retired, but he still always has a couple animals kicking around, or he's not far from feeding an animal anyway. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's 10 or 15 years ago, I mean, a cow might make you $100 a head. So you had to run like lots and lots and lots of them to make a living, and
Mm-hmm.
now, I mean, some people are making $700 to $1,000 a head on every cow. So it's
Mm-hmm.
changed the game a little bit. Now you can run less cows and still make the same living.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for sure. That's true. All right. I wanted to just ask in here as well. Things still quite bright, cautiously hanging in there, optimistic. Is there anything keeping you up at night here? Obviously, you want to do the best marketing you can while you're in this kind of, I don't want to say golden era, but you're trying to do your best for as long as you can. Is there anything keeping you up at night though these days?
I don't know if I would say keeping me up. Like, these prices are phenomenal, so I just keep encouraging people to take advantage of it. Keep forward selling your calves, forward sell your yearlings if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Trim your cow herds a little bit. These bred cows are over $6,000 now, so it's like, those are phenomenal prices. So you might as well take some of that money off the table and maybe sit on some dry powder.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as keep you up at night, I mean, this market's going to tip at some point, and I don't think it'll be as steep as the last one was, but if it gives back, if you look at like standard pullbacks or whatever, if it gives back 50 or 60% of its value of the prior gains, those are big dollars being wiped out. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll definitely want to keep your hedges up. Like these 8 weights, for example, they're trading over $4. They might be $3, but $1 a pound is a lot. That's $800. So on a feeder. So just keep hedging, because this thing we're getting pretty toppy. It feels like it to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. So you said you're doing presentations out there, doing the speaking run right now. Anything else that we haven't talked about today that's kind of in that slide deck that is top of mind?
I don't think so. I guess I touched on it a little bit. I'm asking people to kind of explore different ways. Do you really need to own these cows now, or people that either want to expand or the ones that are sitting on expensive cows? It's a good time to ask, do you really need to own all your cows, or is there other things you can do, like custom cows or leasing cows, or trying to get some value out of these herds before before this market turns, because it ultimately does. It's a 10-year cattle cycle, and we've been rising for 5 years, and generally at some point this thing will flip and we'll kind of fall for 5 years. So you want to be prepared for that and take some money off the table, that type of thing.
Okay. This might be maybe a question you don't want to answer, or it might be a weird question for me to ask, but is there anything off the kind of, not off the ledge, I was going to say kind of like any strategy, I don't want to say it, thinking out of the box, anything kind of out of the box ideas that you have in regards to some of that strategy or some of those things you just talked about? I don't know if that's a question I can ask Ryan, or if it is a question, but
yeah, I mean, it's some of the stuff I'm talking about. It's, you want to be evaluating which cattle you're owning going into the turn when it does come. Because, when I do those retracement and look at those levels, a young cow might go from 6,000 down to 4,000. So there's going to be $2,000 of sort of asset value just wiped out. And, other cows won't have that much depreciation. You're going to have to sort of pick and choose which cows are going to be the ones that kind of take the biggest hit on those turns. So that's one way of looking at it. And then, of course, doing a lot of the forward selling. You can forward sell cattle right out into February, March of next year. So those people that are doing backgrounding and such this fall, you can actually pay $3,000 for calves and still make money selling them in February if you do a forward sale now at these high prices. So, and then on the futures and options side, we're just waiting for the moment to trigger our short sales at some point when it does roll. But I haven't seen any topping formations yet to confirm that yet. So we're just kind of sitting on our hands as far as aggressively shorting this market.
Yep, fair enough. All right, and one more for you. Do you have any advice for some of the young ranchers out there that are, maybe they've just gotten into this over the last 5 years? Maybe they are taking over from mom and dad or something like that. Any advice you pass along to some of the younger folks getting into this?
Yeah, keep at it. Like the cow herd is not rebuilding, so we're going to need these cattle, and I think these prices are going to stay high for longer, but they will correct. So we're going to see a market correction, and that's going to be nothing more than a buying opportunity. And so that's why I say don't go and blow the wad on $6,000 cows at this stage of the game. Put your resources in terms of getting land put together and forages and sit on some dry powder here, because we will get a buying opportunity at some point. This is a selling opportunity. Right now is the time to be selling and forward selling and taking advantage of these prices. And then the other thing, I guess, for young people would be to, try as much as possible use other people's money. It's really hard to try and borrow your way into a ranch. You have to try and find ways to use other people's money to grow, and there's numerous strategies on that one.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I appreciate those comments for sure. And the last one I'll leave you with here, Ryan, is I know you take a peek at some of the feed grains and stuff going on as well. Some of those inputs coming into the herd there. Anything kind of sparking your interest on corn or barley or any of those feed grains?
Yeah, I was actually thinking of asking you about that, because it's like when I look at corn, the U.S. is going to, in my opinion, is going to put together a monster crop. Like from what I'm seeing, they got good weather down there, lots of acreage. Yep. They're going to put together a humongous crop of corn. And then you got Brazil putting together a record crop of corn. And then you got China, looks to me like are overloaded with grain, or they say they've got lots of grain on storage. So I'm getting cheap corn for a while here. And I was going to ask your opinion if you agreed on that, because that definitely, cheap grain for a long period of time there does not bode well for high cattle prices.
Yeah, the U.S. growing season looks quite good. It looks like as of the second week of July here, they're setting up for some record type performance. That big second corn crop in Brazil, like China's always tricky for me. I wanted to be cautiously optimistic for China to buy a bunch of Canadian wheat because we need some help there. But yeah, like there's the stocks, the ending stocks, supply availability is going to be very, very adequate. And yeah, I'm not bullish on I'm not bullish on a whole bunch of feed grain stuff at this time. I've obviously got to keep an eye on policy and some of the biofuel stuff, but again, I think bean oil is getting the big lift right now, and not corn, not ethanol, but bean oil. And yeah, so no, I think from a price perspective, it's it looks like it's going to be a tough at least 12 months ahead here, and you never know going into the next growing season. But supply is climbing, and not just in the US, but in other parts of the world. And even look at the Black Sea, Europe. It got better year over year when it comes to producing grain in those parts of the world as well. So,
well, I think we're going to see monster carcass weights in cattle because we got negative feeding margins looking forward and cheap grain. So feedlots are just going to keep feeding these cattle, trying to make money on them. Well, they'll just feed them to gargantuan weights. So I think we're actually going to see record average carcass weights this fall. It's going to be interesting to see if grain prices stay low here. So, yeah. And barley's sitting at what, $6.50 a bushel. And, the corn in the States is what, $3.50 or $4. It's like, I don't know. I'm questioning whether barley can stay up at $6.50 or not. I think we're going to see $4 barley.
Barley is one of the crops that I'm the most aggressively sold on for new crop. And at some point the floodgate's going to open here as well. It's happening a little bit right now. Corn trading into the prairies here, but I expect that's going to get those floodgates are going to open up quite a bit more over the next couple of months. So yeah, I think anyone growing feed barley needs to be taking a very, very close look at their marketing plan on that one. So yeah. I want to try to find some bullishness in the commodity market. And I know we have some geopolitical stuff. We've had some world conflicts, wars, that stuff was trying to raise some of these commodity prices, some of the grains and oilseeds out there. Production concerns, maybe prairies a little drier, right? And but yeah, once you start to eliminate some of that, or some of that gets quiet, we're still trending lower on a lot of this stuff. So for this winter, but we'll see.
Well, commodities are like, if you look at the ratio of commodities to stocks or commodities to other investment assets, I mean, commodities are trading dirt cheap from a century level lows. Like we're trading at the lows in terms of that ratio as we were at the beginning of the 70s. So there's lots of room for commodity prices to rally. I mean, if you want to get bullish, get young people thinking about it, at some point that's going to reverse all the hype on technology and AI and all this stuff that's driving the stock market to these crazy levels. At some point that's going to reverse, and people are going to have to start investing in real things when they realize it takes energy to run AI, and we're not producing enough food to feed the planet, and our materials are well down because we've been beating them up with environmental regulations. At some point that worm is going to turn where we're going to need to invest in commodities, and that makes me really bullish about being in agriculture.
I don't disagree with what you said. It just doesn't seem to be there for 2025, and we'll see when it does turn. But we got to work through this period of low margins, negative margins. Chatting with some grain farmers here the last couple of weeks and reviewing some of the numbers from last year, and to go out there and put an average of a $50 to $70 an acre loss from last year, like that's a pretty standard conversation right now for a grain farmer. And hey, hopefully growers were able to take advantage of some of this canola rally and some of these little higher pricing, compared to last year. But we got to weather the storm and look for some brighter days here.
Well, get some of those farmers in your network to start growing some forages and things like that. We need more cattle grounds. We're short of forages and we're short of grassland acres and things like that. So farmers can put some of that into rotations. It would sure help us grow the herd. All
right. You guys heard it from Ryan. We'll see what we can do here. Let's get together this fall and make some plans for next year and get some good margins for everybody lined up.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Ryan, thanks again for coming on the show this week. Always appreciate your insights. And of course, cattle, not nearly my strength. So I appreciate your perspective and your wisdom. How can farmers, ranchers, how can they get a hold of you here?
Well, probably the best way to get a hold of me is through my website, cowsandcontrol.com. You can see my newsletter on there and contact information. But I can always be reached on my phone, 403-669-3451. If you want to talk further about the cattle business, and always open to discussing those things. So
awesome. All right, Ryan, appreciate you being on the show here. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.